That from the Pentagon moments ago. Iran admitting that U.S. strikes seriously damaged its nuclear facilities and is now refusing to cooperate with the UN's nuclear watchdog.
At 3:06 a.m., the dry desert air over central Iran hung still. No gunfire, no missile trails, no alarms, just a sudden vibration felt miles away. Then a low rumble, as if the earth itself exhaled. Deep beneath the Zagros Mountains, a hardened bunker, believed to house key command and drone operations, ceased to exist in under 8 seconds. It wasn't an invasion. It wasn't a declaration. It was a message. That message came from the edge of American military capability. Silent, precise, and irreversible.
The United States has carried out massive precision strikes on 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran.
Today, we take you inside Operation Iron Dagger, a classified U.S. mission that erased an Iranian underground military site using just 1 aircraft and a single bomb. No boots on the ground, no leaks, no warning, just silence, followed by shock. Let's get into it. It all started with a fragment. An intercepted transmission buried in encrypted channels monitored by U.S. Cyber Command. References were made to an operation codenamed Whisper Storm, suspected to be an Iranian coordinated drone attack, targeting U.S. oil tankers navigating through the Strait of Hormuz. These weren't off-the-shelf quadcopters. These were high-speed, GPS-hardened autonomous strike drones capable of swarm tactics. The U.S. intelligence community went into overdrive. Night satellite imagery captured unusual activity near a remote military site in the Zagros Range. Rows of trucks arriving under nightfall, heat blooms in infrared scans, terrain alterations camouflaged under netting. But this wasn't just another weapons stockpile. What analysts discovered next changed everything. Beneath nearly 300 feet of bedrock sat what would become known to U.S. intelligence as Compound 99-D, a fortified subterranean military facility carved directly into a mountain. It wasn't just a command post, it was a control hub for Iran's long-range drone warfare. Intelligence reports estimated that within 10 to 14 days, an operational swarm could be launched targeting U.S. maritime assets. But there was no time for congressional hearings or surface-level diplomacy. The Pentagon needed to eliminate the threat before it moved, and without igniting a regional war. A conventional airstrike wasn't feasible. The facility was engineered to absorb even the heaviest bunker-buster munitions. And a ground assault? Out of the question. Too much risk, too many unknowns, and a high likelihood of international escalation. Instead, the order came from the highest levels. Deploy the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Its mission? 1 flyover, 1 bomb. Total annihilation of Compound 99-D without tipping off air defense systems or drawing attention from Iran's military command. The plan was nicknamed Operation Iron Dagger. And when it launched, it rewrote every rule of 21st century warfare. From the sky, the Zagros Mountains are vast, silent, and seemingly untouched. But buried beneath that facade was an active military nexus, one that had taken years to develop, with funding from both Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and foreign allies. Its goal? Regional domination through asymmetric air power. By the time final approval for the strike was given, the B-2 had already lifted off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. The aircraft was fully fueled, armed with a single GBU-72B Hellspike precision earth-penetrating munition and cloaked in radar-absorbing stealth technology. It crossed oceans, skipped radar nets, and approached Iranian airspace undetected, gliding 40,000 feet above the desert. Inside the aircraft, 2 elite pilots maintained absolute radio silence. The operation's success depended on no communication, no deviation, and no hesitation. The bomb, weighing 5,000 pounds and engineered for deep structure elimination, was armed. And then, over target coordinates triangulated by AI-augmented satellite data, the bomb was released. At precisely 3:12 a.m. local time, the GBU-72 dropped silently into the dark, slicing through the night sky with zero visible signature. It didn't detonate on impact. Instead, it punched through 270 feet of stone and steel, burying itself deep inside the mountain before a smart fuse triggered an explosion, calibrated down to the millisecond. The ground didn't shake. It buckled. Vents collapsed. Rock shifted. Surveillance footage later reviewed by military analysts showed the entire mountain face ripple inward before exhaling plumes of dust and debris. No fireball, no aerial display, just complete internal implosion. Seismic sensors from U.S. submarines and underwater drones positioned in the Arabian Gulf picked up the detonation. Feedback, objective, neutralized. The command center, along with over 30 personnel inside, was gone. But the mission wasn't over. 15 minutes later, U.S. satellites detected movement. Not inside the crater, but just outside it. A narrow emergency shaft built into the mountain's northeastern slope had held. 8 surviving Iranian operatives were seen moving, injured, some dragging equipment, toward a camouflaged extraction point. What they didn't know was that American surveillance had already flagged their heat signatures. Overhead, 45,000 feet up and loitering silently, was a pair of Israeli F-35 Ayadir fighter jets, coordinating directly with U.S. command under a special operations agreement. They received live coordinates from satellite relays. From those jets, 2 GBU-39B small-diameter bombs were released, each guided mid-flight by adaptive laser targeting from the F-35's sensor array. The bombs corrected their trajectory in real time, adjusted for wind drag, and struck their targets with surgical precision. The result? No survivors, no trail, no collateral damage. It wasn't just a strike, it was closure. Inside Pentagon briefings that followed, commanders reviewed thermal footage of the event frame by frame. Every sensor ping, every electromagnetic spike, every facial heat map. And then came the deeper question: how did this weapon even work so flawlessly? The GBU-72 isn't a regular bomb. It's a next-gen bunker buster forged in hardened alloys, designed not to obliterate the surface, but to implode from within. Its secret isn't in the charge, it's in the thinking. Equipped with real-time terrain analytics, radar mapping, and smart fuse delay, it doesn't detonate until it knows it's in the optimal destructive position. In the case of Compound 99-D, that meant inside the command chamber, just beneath the drone control suite. The bomb's pressure wave wasn't designed to blast, it was designed to crush. Vaults collapsed, power grids fried, doors sealed shut by shock compression. Every hallway turned into a tomb. And when combined with stealth deployment from the B-2, the effect wasn't just deadly, it was undetectable. To most of the world, the event never happened. Iran didn't acknowledge the strike. No formal statements were made, but signals intelligence recorded a 36-hour blackout in regional military communications. When transmissions resumed, they were different, encrypted on new frequencies, routed through secondary networks. The U.S. had sent a message, and it had been heard. For years, enemies believed mountains, caves, and concrete gave them immunity. They were wrong. Operation Iron Dagger wasn't just a mission, it was a doctrine. A new way of thinking, a different kind of warfare. One jet, one bomb, one decision. Zero room for error. As the world continues to shift toward proxy wars, drone swarms, and hidden arsenals, the U.S. has quietly evolved, away from massed firepower and toward precision dominance. The ability to strike without being seen, to reach what no radar tracks, to end conflicts before they begin. Let's talk implications. While the public saw no headlines, foreign militaries were watching closely. Defense analysts in Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran now had a new variable to account for. Underground doesn't mean safe. Radio silence doesn't mean invisible. And preparation doesn't guarantee protection. Every encrypted war room now had to ask, what if the next strike doesn't come from an army, but from the shadow of a single wing? Meanwhile, U.S. engineers are already working on the next generation. Penetrators smarter than ever. AI-enhanced bombs that not only detect terrain, but listen to vibration. That understand airflow. That can adjust detonation timing based on the structural density of their surroundings. In other words, smart bombs that think like weapons and decide like generals. And it all started here, with one forgotten mountain and one precision strike that changed everything. So, what do you think? Was this mission a warning shot to future threats, or the unveiling of a new global playbook? Was America justified in striking preemptively based on intelligence? Or does this mark the beginning of warfare conducted in whispers, beyond diplomacy? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more true military stories brought to light with the full detail and analysis you won't get from mainstream coverage, hit subscribe and join our growing defense community. Because in this new era of global conflict, sometimes the biggest stories aren't the ones you see, they're the ones you never hear coming. But as the last vibrations from the mountain faded into silence, something even more profound lingered. For all the precision, all the silence, and all the technology on display, the true significance of Operation Iron Dagger wasn't the crater it left, or the bodies buried in rubble. It was the message, etched not into the stone, but into the minds of every adversary watching from the shadows. That message was simple. We will find you. And when we do, there will be no sirens, no build-up, no theatrics, just one sudden reckoning delivered from a sky you never saw coming. Because in this era of warfare, the B-2 bomber doesn't just drop bombs, it drops doctrine. It declares that America no longer needs overwhelming numbers or visible force projection to shape global behavior. What it needs is accuracy, agility, and the cold willingness to strike first when the stakes demand it. And the stakes have never been higher. Across the globe, rogue states and non-state actors are burrowing deeper, into mountains, into data networks, into political ambiguity. They rely on delay, on denial, on the hope that international paralysis will shield them long enough to strike first. But Operation Iron Dagger tore that hope from their grasp. Because America didn't just destroy a bunker, it shattered the timeline. It proved that we will not wait for the enemy to act. We will move on intelligence. We will trust in our capabilities. And when the target is clear, we will remove it completely, decisively, and without warning. From deep inside Iran's mountain ranges, to jungles in Southeast Asia, to the deserts of North Africa, those who once believed geography could protect them are now recalculating. Because it's not about where you hide, it's about how fast we can reach you. And we can reach you faster than ever before. That's the legacy of stealth. The B-2 Spirit isn't just an aircraft, it's an idea born in Cold War urgency and matured in post-9/11 necessity. An aircraft that can take off in Missouri and end a regime's ambitions halfway across the world before sunrise. Invisible to radar, silent at altitude, deadly by design. Its pilots fly into darkness not because they enjoy the risk, but because the mission demands it. They are the quiet professionals, the ones who do not post selfies, who do not write books, who do not chase medals. Their victories are logged in silence, known only to a handful of officials and a few blinking lights on a global surveillance grid. But make no mistake, their actions shape history. Because every time one of those sleek black wings slices through the sky, a nation somewhere holds its breath. And now, in the aftermath of Operation Iron Dagger, that breath is even shorter. From intelligence agencies in Moscow, to strategy rooms in Beijing, to encrypted bunkers in Damascus and Caracas, commanders are studying this mission. They're asking, how did they find it? How did they hit it? And how do we stop that from happening to us? The answer, you can't. Not anymore. Because American doctrine has changed. The age of tank battalions and beach landings is over. Now, wars begin and end in the span of a single night, with decisions made in cyber silence and executed before breakfast. It's not boots on the ground, it's brains in the cloud. The U.S. didn't just take out a threat. It flexed a capability that only a few years ago was theoretical. And that capability is evolving. With each operation, our intelligence grows sharper, our weapons more adaptive, our aircraft more autonomous, and our enemies more exposed. Because the next B-2 may fly with an AI co-pilot, the next GBU may adapt its path mid-flight based on real-time satellite data. The next target may not be a mountain, but a server farm, a launch platform, or a hardened convoy in motion. That's the future, a battlefield that shifts every second, where advantage belongs to those who process, decide, and act the fastest. And America is already there. But let's not pretend this is all about tech. At the heart of every mission are people, pilots, analysts, engineers, operators, men and women who don't clock out, who don't sleep when the alert is red, who dedicate their lives to making sure one more bomb never goes off in a crowded marketplace. One more missile never reaches a civilian jet. One more plan never becomes another war. They do it in secret. They do it in silence. And they do it so that the rest of us can argue politics, scroll social feeds, and sleep without looking over our shoulder. They are the reason why the night skies are quiet. And when they strike, it's not vengeance, it's necessity. So if you're watching this from behind a screen in Tehran, or in an encrypted chat in Sana'a, or in a bunker deep in the mountains of northern Pakistan, understand this. We're already watching. We've already mapped your routes. We've already simulated your escape plans, tested your defenses, and listened to your transmissions. We know your hiding spots. We know your fallback options. We know what you're building. And when the time comes, we won't knock. We'll enter your history books without ever being seen. Because America no longer plays by the old rules. We write new ones. Rules that say no target is too far, no bunker is too deep, and no threat is untouchable. So if you think silence means safety, think again. Because the quietest moments always come just before impact. And impact is what we do best.